Good
afternoon, members. We have a quorum and it is the scheduled start time of the meeting. I call to order the meeting of the House Committee. Item 1 on the agenda, confirmation of minutes of meeting. Minutes of the second meeting held on the 21st of January 2022. The minutes have been forwarded to members before the meeting. So far, no members have made any comments on the minutes. Can I invite members to confirm the minutes, please? Minutes confirmed. No objection. Thank you. Item 2, matters rising, report by the chairman on her meeting with the Chief Secretary for Administration. At my meeting with the Chief Secretary, I conveyed members' general expectation that government officials should be more specific and to the point when they reply to questions of members at council meetings and committee meetings. The Chief Secretary responded that he's already reminded government officials to be concise and to the point in their reply to members' questions. And also, on the question of forming subcommittees on policy issues, the Chief Secretary agreed that members should first consider focused discussion on matters of concern to them in the relevant panels, and if there is need to consider to explore a particular issue in particular, members may consider forming subcommittee. I've also pointed out to the Chief Secretary that many members have expressed a wish that the administration should not just contact chairman and deputy chairman of panels to discuss policy issues. They should also take the initiative to ask to meet with other members of panels for discussion and to listen to their views. So the secretary will remind Director of the Bureau to do so. Mrs. Regina, if we're not far away from the budget, we're resuming our meeting on the 16th of February and then the 23rd of February, that's the budget. And then we heard that the administration will be rolling out anti-epidemic fund 6.0 because this outbreak is probably not going to end in a few weeks. So can we invite the financial secretary to listen to our views again? We don't want him to be dispersing funds to the same groups of people, such as the scheduled prime ministers. What about those who have no work and no income? How do you help them? So either he could come and speak to us or the Chief Secretary could do so because he's in charge of the AEF. I believe members are all very much concerned about this. Next time when I meet with the Chief Secretary, I will convey your wish to him. But of course, this is an open meeting, so I'm sure the Chief Secretary follows what we have discussed here. And so we will pass on the views to the relevant Director of the Bureau. Item 3, business arising from previous council meetings. Legal Service Division report on subsidiary legislation gazetted on the 21st of January 2022. Legal Advisor, please take us through the report briefly. Thank you. Madam, the paper number is LS3/2022. It covers 7 items of subsidiary legislation. The first one, LN3. It's about that instruments issued in Hong Kong by the Shenzhen Municipal People's Government for interest or profits arising from the DI, then there would be exemption from profits tax. Well, this arrangement is in line with some sovereign debts issued by the central authorities and the notes issued by the People's Bank of China. So that this is to align the arrangement with these other 2 types of bonds. And now we have considered the LN. There are no questions with the drafting and the legal aspects of the LN. Thank you. On LN 3, members, do you wish to form a subcommittee? No, so far. Legal Advisor, please continue. Thank you, Madam Chair. Next is LN 4 to LN 9. These are all commencement notices to appoint the 31st of March 2022 to be the day on which some ordinances and items of subsidiary legislation relating to dangerous drugs to come into operation. There are 4 regulations in relation to dangerous drugs, goods, and also the Dangerous Goods Amendment Ordinance 2002. So this is about updating the regulatory and classification systems of dangerous goods so that this arrangement will be aligned with international standards. And last September, the the Dangerous Goods Miscellaneous Amendment Ordinance 2021 was passed by this council, is to make relevant technical amendments. Now, we've studied all these 6 ends. We have not identified any difficulties in relation to legal and drafting aspects. On LN 4 to 9, members, do you wish to form a subcommittee? No. If I may remind members, if you wish to amend these items of subsidiary legislation, the deadline is the council meeting of the 23rd of February. Item 4 on the agenda. Reports of bills, committees and subcommittees. Report of the Subcommittee on Prevention and Control of Disease, Use of Vaccines Amendment Regulation 2022. I invite the chairman of the subcommittee, Dr. Priscilla LEUNG, to give a verbal report. Thank you.
Madam Chair, the subcommittee has completed its scrutiny of the Prevention and Control of Disease, Use of Vaccines Amendment Regulation 2022. That is the amendment regulation. All provisions of the amendment regulation have been sufficiently discussed. In relation to the provision which extends civil liability immunity to 3 committees and 1 advisory panel appointed by the government, there was detailed and comprehensive discussion between members and the administration on the nature, the legislative intent, and the scope of such terms as immunity, as well as on the definition of terms like in good faith, clinical events, and adverse events. Members requested that the expert advisors explain their opinions to the public in a clear and unequivocal manner. Besides, some members suggested that mainland experts be invited to join the committees and advisory panel. Members are concerned about the progress of the vaccination program. They called for measures to encourage and facilitate vaccination among the elderly and primary students. In taking forward these measures, the administration should have a roadmap, a timetable, and accurate statistics. Some members hope that other vaccines and drugs can be procured to give the public more options. Some members urged the administration to roll out the vaccine bubble with an open and forward-looking attitude. For example, following the mainland's practice to enhance the Leave Home Safe app with real name registration and tracing functions to achieve early resumption of cross-boundary travel. Individual members have reservation about the aforesaid functions. The subcommittee supports the amendment regulation and will not move any amendment. A written report will be submitted later. I would like to offer my heartfelt thanks to members of the subcommittee. They showed they care for the public by putting forward comments and questions actively. Provisions were scrutinized with attention to details and professionalism. Constructive suggestions and comments were made for the administration to consider and act on. Thanks to the exceptional quality of their scrutiny work, the subcommittee operated smoothly and completed its work in one meeting. It shows how effective this new term of the Legislative Council is.
Thank you, Dr. Priscilla LEUNG. For the regulation considered by the subcommittee, the deadline for amendment is the council meeting of the 16th of February. If members wish to make amendment, the deadline for giving notice is the 9th of February, Wednesday. 9th of February, Wednesday. Item 5, position on bills, committees and subcommittees. As at the 27th of January, Thursday, there is one subcommittee under the House Committee. That is the Subcommittee on the Prevention and Control of Disease, Use of Vaccine Amendment Regulation in action. Before we move on to the next item, I would like to propose that the House Committee will first consider item 7, arrangements for the debate on the 2021 policy address, before we go back to item 6, election of members of various committees. If members have no objection, then we will first consider item 7 on the agenda, that is arrangements for the debate on the 2021 policy address. As the chairman of the House Committee, I will be moving a motion at the council meetings of the 16th, 17th and 18th of February, and that is the motion of thanks motion in relation to the policy address. The wordings are: this council thanks the chief executive for the policy address. Now, if members wish to move amendments to the motion, the deadline for giving notice is the 9th of February, Wednesday. The Director of Administration wrote to the Council on the 20th of January to propose the grouping of policy areas for the debate. The government is proposing 4 sessions for the debate. As for the proposed grouping of policy areas, that's in the annex to the letter from the Director of Administration. Members, please note that. I would also like to invite members to note the arrangements for the debate on the 2021 policy in paper number CB bracket 365 to 22. It's in paragraph 5 of the paper. The arrangement is similar to that for the 6th term of the electrical. That means for 3 consecutive days, there will be debate in 4 sessions. Each session will be dedicated to the group of areas as set out in the Director of Administration's letter. On day 1, that is the 16th of February, the debate will start at 11 a.m. And for the 2nd and 3rd days, that is the 17th and 18th of February, the debate will start at 9 a.m. For all 3 days of the debate, the ending time will be about 7 p.m. A member may speak once in each of the 4 sessions, subject to the total speaking time limit of 15 minutes. When members speak in a session, the speech should be confined to the policy area specified for that session. To allow members more time to speak, public officers will have a total of 1 hour in each session to reply. I would like to ask members if you agree that we should hold debate on the 16th, 17th and 18th of February on the 2021 policy address in accordance with the proposed grouping of policy areas in 4 sessions as proposed by the administration. And if I may remind members again, the total speaking time limit is 15 minutes. There's been some adjustment because there are more members now in the council. Members, any comments, please? If I may remind members again, after the Chinese New Year, the first council meeting would be the one on the 16th, 17th and 18th of February. That is the motion of thanks debate on the Chief Executive's policy address. So if you agree, that means when we come back after Chinese New Year, the first meeting will be on the motion of thanks debate. Mr. Paul Chair, Madam Chair, if I recall correctly, then we're just repeating the policy address delivered in the last term. I know, of course, in the new term, we need to do that, but it seems that we are spending double the time on the same issue. Now, this time is unique because we have for the last term there's an extension of a year, but we don't want to really spend too much time on policy debate so that for the policy address, otherwise we won't be able to attend to urgent matters, and it's a waste of time if we keep debating the same issue. We note your point, Mr. Paul Chair. Firstly, I've just confirmed with the Secretariat. After the Chief Executive delivered her 2021 policy address, there was no motion of thanks debate on the policy address at the council. That's the first point to note. Second point, now for the new term of the council, there are more members. The chief executive has asked that principal officials should go to reference panels to brief members on the policy address. Well, that's a new arrangement. I'm sure members will recall that in fact, in the last term, after the delivery of the policy address, the relevant government officials did go to the reference panels to brief them on the policy address. But because there's going to be a change of, because there's going to be a new term, so the motion of thanks debate did not take place in the last term. It's only going to take place in this term. So if there are no further views from members, then we will go by the proposed arrangement. Item 6, election of members of the Public Accounts Committee, Committee on Members' Interest, Committee on Rules of Procedures, and Committee on Access to the Legislature's Documents and Records, PAC, CMI, CROP, and COA. Now, members agreed at the House Committee meeting on the 14th of January that the election of the PAC, CMI, CROP, and COA be held at this meeting. And according to the paper issued by the Secretary to members on the 27th of January 2022, as at the deadline of nomination, the Secretariat has received the following number of valid nominations for, say, PAC 7, CMI 7, CROP 12, and COA 5. As for the PAC, CMI, and CROP, the number of nominations is the same as the number of seats. And then for COA, the number of nominations received is less than the 10 seats on the committee. So as the House Committee Chairman, I have to declare that the nominees are elected members. Now, I'll first announce the members elected to the Public Accounts Committee. Mr. Chen Chong-ying, Mr. Yong Hoi-yan, Mr. Lau Kwok-fan, Mr. Tony Che, Mr. Lok Chong-hong, Mr. Paul Che, and Professor Nelson Lam. And then 7 members have been elected to the Committee on Members' Interests. Ms. Elizabeth Kwok, Mr. Jimmy Mr. Lee Chung-ka, Mr. Benson Look, Mr. Lai Tong Kwok, Mr. Kingsley Wong, and Ms. Carmen Ken. And then 10 members have been elected to the Committee on Rules of Procedure. Mr. Tommy Chang, Dr. Priscilla, Mr. Paul Che, Mr. Kwok Wai Kong, Dr. Lo Wai Kwok, Mr. Horace Cheung, Dr. Teck Si Yun, Mr. Lam Sam Kon, Mr. Yu Pak Leung, Dr. Teck Si Yun, Ms. Carmen Ken, and Mr. So Chan Wing. And I also declare that following members have been elected to Committee on Access to the Legislature's Documents and Records: Mr. Chen Ying, Mr. Chan Hak Kang, Ms. Alice Mak, Mr. Martin Liao, and Mr. Stanley Ng. The House Committee meeting will be suspended for a while so that members of the PAC, CMI, CROP, and COA will nominate members among themselves to become the chairman and deputy chairman. They will, elect the chairman and deputy chairman among themselves. Now, first, the PAC members, please proceed to conference room 2B for the election of the chairman and deputy chairman. And for CMI members, please proceed to room 214 for the election. And then the CROP, please proceed to conference room 3. After the completion of the election of the chairman and deputy chairman, or the House Committee meeting will resume to endorse the election results. Now, so we'll now suspend the House Committee meeting. Relevant members, please proceed to the relevant venue for the election. Thank you.